There we go. All right. Oh, you're planning to stand on the left of the board? Yep. Let me adjust this a little bit more then. Perfect. All right. I believe I'm ready. All right. Hi, crowd. Welcome to a surprise Toki Pona lesson. The goal for today is to go from the very basics, like pretend you don't know anything about Toki Pona, and I'm going to go through the minimum you need to start in the language. So first things you need to know. Toki Pona has two writing systems. I'm going to be primarily using one of them, but I'll introduce both. We have the symbol Toki, drawn with a circle and 3 lines overhead. And you've probably seen that before because it is part of the logo of the language. And that's T-O-K-I. And then you have Pona, which looks a bit like a smile. P-O-N-A. So first, you recognize the writing system on the bottom. That's just the Latin alphabet. We use it in English. On the top is called Sitelen Pona. That literally means good writing. And like I said, I'll be doing Sitelen Pona throughout these lessons. In my opinion, it makes learning the words a little easier. But how does this work? The word Toki, it can mean speech, conversation, thought, talking, and language. And then the word Pona, that means good, positive, pleasant. So the two of them together, Toki Pona, means pleasant speech, like a friendly conversation, thoughtful prayer, good language. All of Toki Pona's words work like this. They are very broad. That is, they can mean many different possible things. And so later in this lesson, when I introduce a word, I'll probably give one specific translation, and then I'll pile on a bunch more possibilities. And that's just how the language works. That's the contextual way Toki Pona works. So that's your very introduction to, like, the ideas of the language. Let's make a sentence. Where's, here we go. So we'll start with me. That's M-I. Me is a pronoun. It is me, myself, I. It can also be like mine or any first-person pronoun. And the Sitelen Pona for it looks a little bit like taking your left hand and pointing at yourself with your thumb. You can see how that lines up. So that's me, yourself. Well, I, rather. And to form sentences with it, we can add another word, like, say, tawa. T-A-W-A. Tawa, here, the Tepo Pona is a pair of legs walking to the right. And the meaning is any sort of motion. It can be walking, as the symbol suggests. It can also be sprinting. It can be shaking. It can be any kind of motion. Flight as well. Traveling on a train. So the sentence, mi tawa, means I move, or I go, or I walk. This is the idea we'll go with throughout the whole lesson. A basic sentence, exploring its meaning a bit, and then exploring a new sentence. But before we move on, there's another pronoun. Well, there are several, but next there's sina. S-I-N-A. Sina looks like you take your right hand and point out at whoever you're speaking to. You can see how that lines up. Do that there. And that's because sina refers to any second person. So you, your, yours. It can also be plural. So that can be y'all, you all. And that's an important point as well. Toki Pona's words are not only broad in their meaning, they are also broad in their number and in their place in time, let's say. So sina can be you, singular, who I am speaking to. It can also be y'all, plural. And the same goes for me that we looked at previously. That can be I, and it can be we. And then let's put in a word after sina. How about musi? M-U-S-I. Musi is fun, entertaining, joke. Oh, gracious. I don't know if you can hear me. My headset is disconnected. I'll be back in a moment. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah. Fun, entertainment, joke, anything in that group. So, sina, musi. Sina is you. Musi is fun. So, you are fun, or you are funny, you are entertaining, you are enjoyable. But this could also be in the past, or the future, or hypothetical. Because Toki Pona also doesn't have any indication of time in its words. Like in English, we have uh, would, will have been, all sorts of different tenses for things being expressed at different times. Toki Pona does not have that in its words, in its grammar, rather. So these words, once you've learned them, you know them. You understand the meaning, and that's it. Every time they appear, you get the idea. So sinamusi could also be you were being funny. Or you will be entertaining. So now that we've got the basic idea of forming sentences like these, there's another pronoun, and it introduces another rule. The next pronoun is ona. O, in, a. Ona is a third-person pronoun. And if you look at the sitelen pona, the symbol here, it looks a bit like if you took your right hand and pointed at somebody. Especially if you point to the left. We can see like that. And of course, the reason I relate all these back to pointing is because these different pronouns refer to people you're talking to, things you can see. And so it makes sense that the pronouns literally point out that thing. And like I said, ona is a third-person pronoun. So it can be he, she, it, they. And of course, it can also be plural. And to form a sentence with ona as the subject, like I said, here's that new rule. There's another word, li. L-I. And unlike what we've seen so far, li doesn't really have a meaning. Li is a piece of grammar. It introduces the verb. And so you might then wonder, why don't me or Sina have a verb? Or excuse me, have li? The answer is, me and Sina, since we say them so much, they introduce their own verb. So me introduces a verb, which is tawa. Sina introduces a verb, which is musi. Ona needs help. And so ona, and then li. Li introduces the verb for ona, and we'll say the verb is wawa. W-A-W-A. Wawa is strong, powerful, confident, energetic. And so ona, liwawa, is like they are confident or they are strong. And you can see it in the symbol for wawa as well. Because this is, though a bit abstract, like somebody raising their hands over their head. Maybe they're flexing, maybe they're excited. Both are part of the idea of wawa. All right, one more pronoun, and then we're going to do a few more general sentences with these rules in mind. There is ni. In, I. Ni is this or that. And its symbol is more literal than all the rest, because that's just an arrow pointing at something. So that really is it. So let's continue with the sentence. Ni also needs help. As a matter of fact, me and Sina are the only words that don't need li. So everything else does. And we can say ni, li, pona. P-O-N-A. So if ni is this or that, li introduces the verb, and pona, we just covered that one before. It means positive, pleasant, good. And so this sentence means this is good, or that was good, or any sort of time frame. Ni, li, pona. Right. So these are Toki Pona's pronouns. It's worth mentioning that a lot of Toki Pona's words work a little bit like they do. And that is, it'd probably be easiest if I go into an example. So we'll actually introduce one more word before we erase. Yan. J-A-N. Yan means person or being. The idea with yan, with the image rather, is that it's like maybe an image of somebody from the shoulders up. And if we wanted to make a sentence with it, we need li. And we can add on a verb. We'll go with toki, because we know that one. T-O-K-I. Yan being person or being. Remember, number doesn't matter, so it could be any number of people. Li, toki. Toki is speech, conversation, thought, or language. So yan li toki is a person is speaking, or a person speaks, or people converse, maybe. So the reason I bring up yan here is because it is a great example of the pronoun thing that Toki Pona does with all of its words. While we haven't gotten to complex phrases yet, and we're not going to during this lesson, if I have a complex phrase that starts with yan, then later I can refer back to that complex phrase with just the word yan. And so that's what I mean by, in a sense, every one of Toki Pona's words is a bit pronoun-like. They all can refer back to something in the conversation, kind of like pronouns do. And, frankly, sometimes it's more clear to do that than to use one of the pronouns. Right. So here's our basic sentence structure, and I'll quickly go over how it works, and then we'll go over a couple more example sentences with more words. So, as I said, the word li introduces a verb, and I discussed how me and Sina do that all on their own. So, me is the subject. It's whatever is acting in the sentence. After me, we have tawa, and that's the verb, whatever action occurs in the sentence. And then over here with ona li wawa, ona is the subject, li introduces the verb, and wawa is the verb. So ona is the subject, wawa is the thing the subject is doing. Excuse me, sorry. Right. We're going to clear that now. And now, yes, if anybody has questions, good time for them now. Ni. Sonamila ona di lonara, no sé me. How are you? I'm all right. I'm doing okay. I'm a little unused to speaking so slowly. Oh no, you're fine. I'm happy to help. It's practice. It's a matter of practice. How do you say someone's name? Ooh, okay. That's getting ahead a bit, but I can do that. Here, I'll make the next section about modifiers, and I'll introduce names along the way. Can you transcribe that? Any more questions? Cool. Okay. Oh, wait. Typing. How many particles are you gonna teach? I had not decided. I was gonna go for like 30 or 45 minutes. I expect I'm only going to get to one more, and that will be if I get that far. Okay, cool. Right. So, modifiers. Remember the name of the language? The exercise I went through at the very start? The word pona, in here, I'll write it out again. Toki Pona. The word pona is a modifier. You might also be familiar with the word adjective. Basically, it changes the meaning of the word it follows. So, pona modifies toki. Toki on its own would be speech, language, conversation. Toki pona is more specific. It's now friendly conversation or good language. And you can have this in a sentence in basically the way you'd expect. So let's say, Sina Toki Pona. Sina, Toki Pona. So, Sina introduces its own verb, and that's both of these. Toki Pona. Pona modifies Toki, so altogether, this sentence is you speak well, or you use Toki Pona, the good language. And of course, there are other interpretations, but keeping it reasonably short. Continuing, you could also have yan mute. M-U-T-E. Li lon. L-O-N. Yan mute li lon. So we know yan, that's person or being. Mute, here, mute means a lot, many, very. It can describe an amount of something, usually a lot of something. And the idea here is that mute is modifying yan. You can draw an arrow to indicate that. And both of these, yan mute, are the subject. So then li comes in to help, introducing the verb. And then we have lon. Lon is a funny one. We'll say it means truth at times, and that it means presence or location at times. Here, it's kind of like saying here, like H-E-R-E, here. Or I should say the word present. So backing up, yan mute, yan is person, mute is a lot. So yan mute is a lot of people. Li introduces the verb, and then lon is here or present. So many people are here. And just to reiterate, this can also be future or past. So many people were here, or many people will be here. Yan mute li lon. Okay. Let's introduce another word. Kasi li suli. Kasi is K-A-S-I. Suli is S-U-L-I. Kasi, its symbol is basically a little sprout, a plant. And the word kasi means any kind of plant. So you could have moss on the side of a rock, or you could have grass, or you could have a flower, or a bush, or an enormous tree. All of them are kasi. And then suli. Suli means large or important. And it can be any kind of large as well. So it could be very tall, or very wide, or very long. Oh dear. I'll wait a moment. Let me know when you're ready to continue. Gotcha. That's weird that VRChat does that. Okay, you're good. Any type of plant. And yeah, suli, any type of large. And then important as well, by metaphor to large. Something that is metaphorically large is relevant to a lot of people or a lot of things. So, kasi, li, suli, plant is large, or we're describing a plant and saying it is large. In other words, we could be looking up at a very tall tree and remarking on exactly what we see. Ah, kasi li suli. The plant is large. The tree is huge. But then, what if I do that? This is ala. A-L-A. So now the sentence is kasi li suli ala. Ala is not or none. It negates the previous word. And so it's also a modifier. And as a modifier of suli, it means not large. So now, kasi li suli ala, the plant is not large. Maybe you're looking at a bunch of trees and you single one out. You go, kasi li suli ala, contrasting it with the rest of the trees. Okay. Let me go back in my notes really quick. Give me 1 sec. Okay. Let me clear these, and we'll do another sentence. This one will have lots of new words in it, so pay close attention. Mama, M-A, M-A, me, li, lape, L-A-P-E, lili, L-I-L-I. So, before we get to the words, let's look at the whole sentence. We see li here in the middle, and we know that this first word is the subject. So me modifies mama, and over here, lili modifies lape. Excuse me. Right. But what do these words mean? Mama is parent or ancestor, or really any older familial relation, usually along the line of your parents, right? It can also, however, mean protector or guardian. So think of like a babysitter, right? And as for the symbol, it's just 2 circles, but in an abstract way, you can think of it like an animal who is a parent sticking close to their child, protecting it. Again, very abstract. It's just 2 circles. But one large circle on top of a small circle. So that's mama. Mama mi, we know me, that's the first person pronoun, so I. As a modifier, it's generally a possessive. That is, mama mi, my parent, ancestor. So this could be my dad, my mom, my grandfather. Good reminder that Toki Pona's words don't care about gender either. All right, then we have li, so we're getting into the verb. Lape. Lape is to sleep, rest, or relax. And it's any size or amount of resting or relaxing. So we could sit down, and that could be lape. Or we could crash on the couch and sleep for 16 hours. And that's also lape. The symbol, once again, very abstract, very simplified, is like a person laying down on their side. Right, then we have lili. If you're paying attention, you'll notice that a lot of these symbols, the Sitalan Pona symbols, are similar to one another. We saw that with the pronouns, mi, sina, and ona. They're all different ways of pointing with your hands, basically. Lili is very similar to suli, but it's smaller. And we remember that suli is large or important. Lili is small, any sort of small. So that could be short, it could be narrow, it could be thin. You get the idea. And so let's put this sentence together. Mama mi, maybe my dad. Li, lape, sleep. Lili, small. My dad, small sleeps. Or my dad takes a nap. Lili is modifying lape, where lape on its own is to rest or sleep. Lili is a small lape, or sorry, lape lili is a small lape. Okay, so that's the basic idea with modifiers. They go on for a little while. You can use any of the non-grammar words we've covered. Those are called content words as modifiers and as subjects or verbs. They can fit in any of those parts of the sentence. There was a request earlier to learn how names work, and so I'll get into that now. I'll warn you that I'm going to be glossing over a little bit of detail because names require knowing the rest of Sitalan Pona. And of course, we've only learned a bit of Sitalan Pona. So if I introduce a symbol you don't know, I'll give you its name and its reading, but we're not going to get into the meanings because that would take an extra long time. Okay. But to introduce names properly, you need to know how to say hi. And the way to do that is actually with Toki. On its own, no sentence. You can imagine this kind of like going up to someone and saying, conversation, which is a bit of a silly way of thinking of it. But that's how you say hello. Toki. And then, once you've done that, you can introduce yourself. the common thing, the common way is to say mi, yan. So you're introducing yourself and some descriptor of yourself. Yan is common, but you don't have to go with yan. And then comes the name. So when it comes to writing names, the common way is to use the Sita-Linpona symbols for the letter of the word they start with. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say we have li esun sona insa. And I'll box all of that up. This is what a name looks like when written in Sita-Linpona. Now, like I said, I'm only going into the readings and the words. So, li, we know that. This would give you L. This symbol is esun. It starts with E, so that gives us E. This symbol is sona. It starts with S. And this symbol is insa, and it starts with I. So this sentence is mi yan lesi. That's really all there is to it with names. There are more ways to write names, but if you know this way, you can write any name you want. Just to note, names work like modifiers. So another kind of silly way to read this sentence would be me. Oh, no worries. We can pause for a sec. Once again, silly that VR chat does this to us. Lon. Okay. So yeah. The other way to read this sentence, mi yan lesi, you could say, I'm Lesi. You could also say, I'm a person named Lesi. And yeah, that really is it with names. As I noted, there are other ways to write Sita-Linpona, write names with Sita-Linpona that are a little more compact or use fewer Sita-Linpona symbols. But this is the basics. This is all you need. This is also how they work in a sentence. All right, so I've gotten through mi, sina, ona, and ni, subject and verb sentences, and modifiers. So now is another good time to stop for questions. So does anyone have any questions regarding the material so far, or anything you'd like to see really quick? Oh, there's a question. Is phonotactics too complicated for right now? I don't think it's too complicated, no. I normally skip over it. And the reason I skip over it is because it's not really important to a learner. Like, the list of words is the list of words. could help with putting names in Toki Pona. Okay, that is fair. I focused on writing them and not making them. Nonetheless, I think I will pass on phonotactics for now, but there are lots of guides online for like making Toki Pona names. I would recommend looking up one of those for more detail. There was a question that started over here. So you mentioned that in order to get a name, you use symbols. With full names with them. Could you drop all but the first letter? Like, let's see. If a name has a French thing over it, how is that spelled? Okay. Both of those can be answered with at the same time, I think. Like these symbols don't just say lesi. Yes, that is correct. When the Sitilin Pona are in a box like this, you read every first letter. And so it's a sound, really. It's not a meaning. I mean, the name itself could have its own meaning. Is it written in Latin letters with lesi or the full name? If you're writing with Sitilin Latina, that is Latin writing, you write lesi, as I've done down here, with a capital letter at the start for names specifically, and then everything else is lowercase. So, like, I could say for myself, me, Jan, Kekan, San. And I hope that's readable. You're fine. And yeah, again, the capitalization is worth talking about really quick. If you're writing in the Latin alphabet, everything in Toki Pona is lowercase, except for names. Names get an initial capital letter. So there was a question, if a name had like a French diacritic, how would you spell that? And then what if one's name ends in a consonant? I can answer both of those. And I guess we're getting into phonotactics. So I'll clear that. So Toki Pona Toki Pona has 9 consonants and 5 vowels. And I'll just write those out really quick. The vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. And the consonants are... this is going to take me a minute because I'm literally going through the alphabet in my head. J, K, L, M, in, P, S, T, W. For the most part, in Toki Pona, you can only have a consonant and then a vowel. So, like, Pona, P-O-N-A, that's consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. But you can end any syllable with in. For example, like Yan does. Words are allowed to start with vowels. We haven't gotten to this word yet, but there's also the word anpa, A-N-P-A. Those syllables are anpa. And then there are a couple more restrictions. You can't put certain sounds together. For example, W and U, or W and O, not allowed. There's a reason for that that has to do with people's physical ability to make sounds with their mouths. And I'm not getting into it because I don't really know it. I just know that that's a thing. But other than that, this is how a Toki Pona word works, how it behaves, sound-wise, anyway. Consonant, then vowel, then consonant, then vowel. You can insert an in at the end of a syllable, and then you can keep going, like we did with anpa. But other than that, there's not much else you can do. Now, that being said, if you wanted to adapt a name, like, my sister's name is Rachel, and that's a little bit of a hard one, looking at the sounds you have available, because there's no R, and the closest thing to R, R-A-C-H-E-L. R-A-C-H-E-L. Yep. There's no R, and the closest similar things are like L, maybe W, maybe J, which is making a Y sound. And then the CH sound in the middle, the closest thing to that would be K or T or maybe S. Hmm? Ang Tepo seme? Ah, sina awan duka. Sona. So adapting that is hard, but in Toki Pona, you preserve the number of syllables, generally. So let me clear that. Rachel could become W-A-S-A, or maybe W-A-S-E, Wasa, or Wase. The idea is that it's not going to look quite the same, and it's not going to sound quite the same. I guess it is worth mentioning. Nothing really stops you from just continuing to use your own name if you want. Obviously, there's like the phonotactics, but like if you just drop a proper name into the middle of Toki Pona speech and it's like your own proper name, that's fine. But this is, okay, going back to the Rachel example, this is preserving syllables. If we want to preserve something else, like consonants, in that case, we are effectively taking some inspiration from the way Japanese transcribes English words. In which case, this might look instead like wa se lu. And some people in the community will do this. Waselu, yeah. So then my sister might say, Toki, mi yan wase. Or maybe, mi yan waselu. These are different ways of expressing names, the same name, basically. This might be a weird question. Go for it. Want to look up on a question? That's on Tepo. Cool. All right. So any more questions regarding names? What would Joseph be? Sure. So the J sound at the front could be adapted as either, you could either write it the same way, in which case you get a Y sound with Toki Pona's J. So here, I'll write this up here. The name is Joseph. We could write it with the same sound up front. Keeping the O is perfectly fine. And in fact, keeping it up to here is fine. So, Yose. Yan Yose is one option. Now the PH here makes an F sound, and there's no F in Toki Pona. The closest thing is probably going to still be a P, though, at least in this case. And so you could also do Yosepu. There's lots of different ways you could do it. Actually, it's worth mentioning here, not only could you choose to keep your own name, but you also don't have to keep your own name, whether you adapt it in Toki Pona or not. Plenty of people, when they learn Toki Pona, rather than adapt their own name, they basically pick an entirely new name and go by that. I kind of did this myself. My name, Kekan, is literally derived from my actual name, but it goes through a bit of a journey. Because for years, I was on the internet as Greg Dan, and I just squashed that down. But Kekan isn't quite like my actual first name. My first name is Gregory. And adapting Greg to Toki Pona Well, as one syllable, that would be ke. The point I'm making is that you don't have to stick to just your actual name. You can be silly with it, or you can be serious with it, but make up something totally new. Anything you want. So then, what if my Toki Pona name was Yan Noyoko? Perfect. Gotcha. And then they say, I had the same first name, and I chose Kekoi. Yep, I almost went with that one myself, but then I was like, Kekan, I like this more. But that's for me. That's true, yeah. You don't have to just use Yan. There are plenty of people who go by other head nouns, as they're called. Other descriptors is the word I used. I personally go by Moon quite a lot. Guess why? If I remember correctly, Moon in Luca Pona is that. Of course, that would be an okay hand. Oh, is it? Yan Tepo has walked out. Oh, hand shape. Got it. That? I mean, the closest I can get it. Cool. I've lost my pen. Where did I lose my pen? Oh, I put it in the board. All right. I've now been sitting here for close to an hour, so I think that's my cue to take a break. That said, if there are any more questions, y'all are more than welcome to reach out to me or really anybody in the Discord and ask whatever questions you have. We're happy to help connect you with learning resources, with other people who are practicing, with places to talk, like anything you need, we're happy to help. And then, yes, this community has a channel specifically for learning Toki Pona. All sorts of questions, practice conversations. I don't think we have any resources like already in there, but it wouldn't be hard to like throw some in. There are nice lists already out there all over the place. Is there a channel for Luca Pona? There is not, but there's no reason why we can't make one, except for that the owner of the server is probably asleep by now. So we'll have to wait for him. There are, waiting for just a moment. Oh, okay. There are other communities. There's a large server, Mapona Pitoki Pona, and it has a category for Luca Pona. And then there is also a large server, Kamasona, which has Luca Pona lessons every Sunday. In fact, those are run by Yan Lakuse. All right, and I'll leave you off. Is Rax Lakuse? Yes. It's okay. So as I noted several times throughout the meetup, there are lots of learners this time around. Honestly, we were not prepared for 8 new people to show up on the same day, or maybe at all. But this is really cool. And so what I'm going to do is make time before or after meetups to run lessons so that y'all can practice before and after the meetup. Or before or after. I can't do both. Bit much for me. You appear to have been rate limited. Ah, there it goes. And as for Luca Pona, so I am not skilled in Luca Pona. I know a handful of words, and that's all I've ever quite gotten to. But I reached out to Tepo and Yanakose to see if they could help, and I'll talk with them after the fact to see how much more they can help, and I'll do my best to connect y'all with them and with the lessons in Kamasona as well. And I'm going to talk to the server owner as well and see if we can reach out to Helping Hands as well. I'm going to need some help there because while I know a lot of people involved with their group, I don't really know much about Helping Hands myself. You can get someone who helps for or works for Helping Hands to help you out. That would be awesome. I am friends with Undead Sea. Got it. Cool. Well, that's all I had on the lesson. I hope it was helpful. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the Discord. Still recording. Yes, I am still recording, but I'm going to cut it probably where the lesson ended properly. Gotcha. Yep, I'll turn that off then.